Hello, welcome along to Sunrise Daily. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
It's a beautiful Tuesday morning from here in Lagos. I'm Kayode Okikulu.
And I'm Ayo Makinde here in Abuja. Good morning and welcome. The papers is our first take this morning, and we have joining us Catherine Agbo, who is former Deputy Editor-in-Chief, Daily Asset newspaper. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Well, let's just go straight into it. We begin with the Vanguard newspaper. And, of course, the Vanguard this morning leads with, of course, the much talked about insecurity. Nigeria in critical situation. This is ascribed to the defense minister. And you're wondering exactly what are we up against here. Man, son, nephew shot dead by gunmen in Edo. We rescued 2 victims kidnapped by herdsmen, says council boss. The details are on the inside pages. Macban disowns attack on Governor Otom. Track, bring perpetrators to book. Reps Minority Caucus. Unmask Otom's attackers, Akeredolu says. Governors worried about attack on Otom, according to Ganduje. Don't politicize attempt on my life, Otom says. And anarchy looms, according to Can. That one is on page 14, but all other stories you find on page 5. Is there an end to this?
There's no end in sight, but hopefully there will be an end someday. The Minister of Defense is telling us that Nigeria is in a critical situation. There's nothing the minister has said to us that is new, because I do not think that there is anybody in Nigeria today that does not know that Nigeria is in a critical situation.
For that to be coming from the defense minister, of course, you don't also forget that the former defense minister also said, something in the same light that, insecurity in Nigeria may go on for another decade or 2. And one is wondering, is there something they know that we don't?
Well, perhaps there's something they know that we do not know, or they have also given up on the situation because they have no answers to the security threats that we face. Because if you remember, it was this same minister that said that the people of Zamfara, if I remember correctly, should stop being cowards and defend themselves against bandits. So when a defense minister tells the people to defend themselves and not be cowards, then you can imagine that perhaps there's no solution in sight. So people have to help themselves. Oh,
okay. I think I meant the former chief of defense staff, not the defense minister. But yes, you are correct in this, correction that you have made. But that's what you have on the front page this morning. The picture you see on the front page is that of protest over abducted Afaka students, but of course I think it's a different version you have there. And of course you also have Mr. and Mrs. and so many other stories on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. On the back page you have sports as usual. You just take your pick. Chamberlain?
Yeah. Even though you think you can just wake up and disappear just like that from Lagos, huh? Okay. Let's take a look at Daily Trust next today. They're also talking about insecurity. Nigeria on the brink. Defense minister. Look at the riders now. Perhaps sheds a lot more light and context, probably. Will kill all non-state actors. CDS. Quit if you can't tackle insecurity, Afenifere. Stop scaring us. Provide solution. ACF tells FG. Situation, sign of weak governance, Northern elders. The thing about this one now is, you're seeing all sorts of rhetoric coming from different people, more so in the light of that attempt on Governor Otom's life and how all of these things are playing out. So, perhaps related to what Ayo did ask, having seen these latest comments, do you think that perhaps this might just lead to the necessary actions that Nigerians have been yearning for, especially if you look at the first rider, which says we will kill all non-state actors? Or is this similar to what you heard? You heard this before? Have we?
Okay, so this kind of promises have been made in the past. that non-state actors, bandits, terrorists, or whatever name they go by would be killed. But here we are today in a state where the defense minister is telling us that Nigeria is on the brink. And I particularly like what the ACF and Afenifere have said. Are you threatening us, or are you working out solutions to this problem? There is a problem, and we already know. You are telling us what we already know. These things happen to us. They happen to people around us. It is people around us that get killed every day. It is people around us that are kidnapped every day. So the people are already living in fear. They know, they feel firsthand what is going on. And instead of proffering solutions to the problem, you're telling us what we already know, to threaten us more, or what? I don't know what exactly the defense minister seeks to achieve with this, should I call it this expose he just made about the security situation. I don't know.
Well, also related to security, we see above this lead story, count us out of agitation for secession, Akeredolu. So now, this similar to what you've seen with IPOB, now this. So who knows? Symptoms of the problem, or still many kind of scenarios, similar scenarios to play out in the days ahead, you think?
You know, the thing is, there are so many calls for secession from different groups in the country right now, and we have unfortunately gotten to the point in our history where once there is a problem, the next minute people are calling for secession. So you have the IPOB groups and so many other groups, and then I think Akeredolu is compelled to make this clarification because of the issue with the herdsmen in his state, where he was said to have given a vacation order, which has spiraled a lot of conversations and so many other things. So yeah, the governor had to make that clarification that, look, we are not part of whatever it is. We are simply saying that our people need to be secure, and we are doing the what we consider the right thing to ensure that the people of the state, which he owes a duty to protect, are protected. And the order he gave for the herdsmen to leave the forest reserves was one of the things he thought was necessary to do at the time. It does not amount to a call for secession.
And then, as though we've not had enough of security challenges, look at this one as well. Some Supreme Court decisions no longer make sense. Justice Rhodes Viver. So you just wonder, this is talking about Supreme Court here. This is the very highest of the courts, and you would expect, at least, this is not what many expect, not even of any court, let alone the Supreme Court. Where is this headed?
Yeah, okay, so it is true indeed, as you would have seen from a lot of judgments that the Supreme Court gives, and some of these judgments rely on precedents that happened, precedents from previous cases. Now the thing is, whether those cases that new cases are relying on were correct or wrong, or no longer in tandem with current realities, because precedents have been set, they have to be relied on. So if some of these laws, some of these Supreme Court decisions have been found to be outdated, then there is absolutely no need continuing to rely on them. But the person telling us this now, Justice Rhodes Viver, he just, I think he retired yesterday. I would have loved to know what he did when he was still there to push for maybe removal of justice reforms and all of that while he was
the question that
there.
I would love to follow up with, you know, from what Chamberlain has said is, for God's sake, the Supreme Court, you know, is about the law, the constitutions, you know, the constitution and the laws of the land and all of that. Is this in any way calling for a review of the laws that gave rise or gave room for those judgments of the Supreme Court over the years?
I think so. I think a review will be necessary at this point, because this is somebody who is on the inside, or who was on the inside. He just stepped out. So this is somebody who was on the inside, and he knows He knows what he's saying. He probably just came short of telling us that, look, in XYZ cases, we made mistakes because there were precedents that were set and we relied on those precedents. We could have done otherwise, but because there was no other way to prove these cases, we had to rely on what we had. And it is a practice in law to rely on precedents that have been set. And whether they were right or wrong, sadly, it is the law. And it has to go that way. So yes, there is need for reforms, reviews, as the case may be, so that we'll stop making some of those mistakes.
All right then.
Well, take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The lead story, another angle to this. Nigerians pay more for insecurity as economic impact hits 50 trillion naira. Spends 6 trillion on security in 10 years with no headway. 5.1 million Nigerians at high risk of critical food insecurity. That's according to Relief Web. I see reason capital importation dries up. Access to local raw materials, major challenge, says Yusuf. So this is the economic impact of insecurity, as it were. 50 trillion naira. That's about $130 billion or even more. And I mean, we've just been bickering over $1.5 billion to rehabilitate refineries. So imagine if this $130 billion actually came through. I mean, we can lean on that. So do you think we really don't have a grasp of how much this is hitting us, such that we can say, you know what, let's stop in our tracks, come together and solve this once and for all? Because $130 billion, that's huge.
50 trillion naira is even not the actual figure, if you want to look at it critically, because this is just government spending we are talking about. We know that Nigerians are responsible for providing their security in different, through different means. You hire guards in your house, you pay vigilante in your area, you subsidize security one way or the other. So when you add what citizens are spending to this 50 trillion naira, which is just government spending, budgetary spending, you find that we are spending even more. Yet there is no end in sight to the to insecurity in the country. So we are really in a critical state, and we need solutions. We need we need to begin to see the results from this money that is being spent. Yes, someone could argue that what if these efforts were not being made? You imagine the situation would have been in. But more can still be done until people begin to feel really safe in their homes, until people can travel on the roads without fear of being kidnapped as they travel. Then we do not know we do not know for sure how this money has impacted the security situation.
And this is not even talking about the economic impact on micro, small and medium enterprises, is it?
No, this is not. This excludes that as well, because, like I said, this is just government spending. When you begin to go deeper to see other areas where spending is being done on for security reasons, you find that this figure is even understated. A lot more is being spent, and something really needs to be done. We cannot continue to spend all of this money and not see results.
You know, this particular story actually tries to aggregate, the different impacts across not just government, private sector, and the rest. So it sort of aggregates it. So this is not just government spending, but definitely this is an interesting read on the front page of The Guardian. And you see this one: dollar shortage raises fear of takeover by foreigners. CBN urged to grant forex cover for unclaimed dividend repatriation. Conversion of dividends to shares will push us away, says shareholder. So another interesting one. Let me just end with this one: path to varsity poly certificate dichotomy by federal government. So this has been on for a while. Do we regularize it? I mean, those who went to polytechnic say we got a lot of technical knowledge and experience. How about we be on the same level with university graduates? What do you think of that?
There's been a lot of talks around this topic. I do not remember correctly, but I think that there has even been legislation on this issue before. So I will be surprised if this still goes on, if this dichotomy still exists, especially in government services. I cannot remember correctly now if it was legislation, but I know that this is an issue that has been going on for long. But then again, if you look at the number of years that someone spends to get a degree and the number of years one spends to get a higher national diploma, it's 4 years, and then there's youth service afterwards. So I think that dichotomy really needs to be done away with, because it is also the reason there is some apathy towards polytechnics. Everybody wants to go to the university because of this dichotomy, and it is all about the bars in the civil service. Somebody who has a higher national diploma cannot grow in their career beyond a certain level. So everybody wants to get a degree instead. So you find that even people that are already in service want to go, who started working with HNDs, want to go back to school and get degrees so that they can reach the highest points in their careers. I think that this really needs to be done away with.
Indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. You just heard my voice. Good morning. And it's wonderful to have Aya Holdford. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on with that echo that you can hear. I hope you can hear it on your TV sets at home. But it's good to have you with us, Catherine. Let's quickly look at leadership for you. And you see there, Northern Elders allege plots to weaken region ahead of 2023. Accuse politicians of causing disunity. Say North can't be intimidated by threats. It's a page 4 read. Well, what do you make of this story? Northern Elders alleging plots to weaken region ahead of 2023. Is it all around security, or is this something else?
With the level of insecurity in the North, I am surprised that rather than talk about how to resolve those issues, 2023, which is the next election, is what the elders are more interested in. They are alleging a plot to weaken the region ahead of 2023. By who? Because the people that carry out insecurity in the North, they live in the North, they live in the communities in the North. The people who live in those communities, in some cases, even know who these people are. So to what extent have these elders gone into discussions with the communities to even get to the roots of this problem? Now they are alleging a plot to weaken the region. By who? And in what interest? Is it all about the next election? And if the insecurity persists, who will vote in the next election? 2023 is in 2 years' time or thereabouts. So if this situation as it is today continues till then, who is going to be alive? Who is going to feel safe enough to go out and vote?
Big question.
So it's not all about elections. People need to be alive first, and the Northern Elders need to be concerned about the security situation in the region before elections.
Well, in fairness to them, and I do know that on more than one occasion they have raised concerns about the security situation in the North. However, as you rightly pointed out, by who is the big question.
Yes,
who is trying to weaken the region ahead of 2023, especially when we know that whatever happens, the consequences will live longer with us than 2023. I mean, Boko Haram crisis is still there now, and the people are still living with the consequences. We all, as a matter of fact, are living with the consequences of the Boko Haram crisis.
This is always about people.
Yes,
that fact.
Indeed.
we shouldn't demonstrate.
Well, look at this one. We saw inflation price figures released by the NBS, but look at this. Nigerians groan under steady rise of food prices. When last did you go to the market? And how are your trips to the markets these days?
Okay, so every market trip is agonizing now. You agonize because every day you go to the market, you find that you are not buying at the price you bought the last time. So in some cases, the prices of some particular items have doubled or grown by 150%. But the sad thing is that we can't see an end in sight, because it keeps growing. It keeps going like that. From, I think, at the beginning of this year, a crate of eggs, for instance, was 1,200 naira in many places in Abuja, but today it's up to 1,500, 1,600, and it keeps going. So I don't know.
It is very, very worrisome. I mean, did you also have the story, just in case you've not been vaccinated, or you're wondering how many people have been vaccinated so far? You also see this one there, COVID-19, 122,000 vaccinated. That's according to the PTF. Well, it's back to you guys in Lagos.
Well, yeah, even though FG is raising alarm over, what do they call it, racketeering of vaccines, and you thought you should be arresting people, not just raising the alarm. Well, I'm just going to breeze through this news direct, because, I mean, some of the headlines you've spoken up already. $1.5 billion refinery contract. We're doing rehabilitation, not turnaround maintenance, ascribed to NNPC. Well, that you heard before. What you make of it, perhaps up to you. 774,000 jobs. Buhari orders release payment of beneficiaries. Okay, so you may be thinking, so does he have to order the release for people to know if you work, you pay? And then catering services resume on flights, Sirica. So that's what some of you may want to hear. That's News Direct this morning.
I bet, I mean, did I have a slice of that catering on flight? But you know what, we'll talk about that right after.
Yeah, he must have had it.
Maybe. Well, let's take a look at the next daily for you this morning. Is it a blueprint or the Daily Times? Guys, let's see the blueprint this morning. Okay, well, let's do this back to Abuja. Let's see what they have for you there.
A new Telegraph here, Kayode, and
You're not going to answer that catering question.
is this a gang of guys?
Just wondering, come on. Some people really want to know. Chamberlain is very interested in this question.
It's not eating, it's takeaway.
Okay, at least there's something on the flight.
New Telegraph this morning. Hijab. Khan threatens to close schools nationwide. Demands probe of attack on Otom. Don't set Nigeria on fire. PFN warns Kwara governor. Hoodlums attack churches and shops in Ilorin. The stories you'll find on pages 2 and 6 of the New Telegraph this morning. This issue has been coming on for a while. And
the issue is in court. And I do not know why the parties cannot wait for I think at the Supreme Court now, I don't know why the parties cannot wait for the Supreme Court to come up with a final verdict on the matter before all this venting all over the place. But beyond that, I think that this issue of this controversy over hijab is totally unnecessary, if you ask me, because these are schools, they have uniforms, and they are secular schools, even though some of them were founded by faith-based organizations. So I do not think that this hijab issue should become so controversial to the extent that there should be riots, there should be killings and maimings. I would advise that the parties that are concerned should wait, stay action, and see what the Supreme Court will have to say about the matter. That's a very interesting place to leave it this morning.
Catherine Agbo is a former Deputy Editor-in-Chief, Daily Asset newspaper in Abuja, and now Deputy Editor of 21st Century Chronicle. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Sunrise Daily is back in a moment. Do stay with us.